There. YouTube stream messing up? How so? What happened? I literally just went like, what is this? Holy shit. What the hell is this? One sec. Apparently I'm using my own stream as a mirror. I mean, stream messing up. What's messing up? Alright, there. So, if the name of the stream was not obvious, we won week 4. The score is currently 6-3. So there's no way of us losing this week anymore. But there is one more game left, and we're gonna be waiting for that game to start. That game is gonna be in about 45 minutes if everything goes according to plan. But we're not gonna just sit here for 45 minutes and shoot the shit or shoot the crib. Patent petting. We're actually gonna look at one of the games or the game that guaranteed us the win for the week, or the game that put us from 5 to 6 wins this week. And that is gonna be the game between Aster and Toku. So, apologize for Aster's field of view. The man recorded the game, but because he wanted to play against his opponent and see what his opponent's field was as high resolution as possible, that was a focus. So his field was on the bottom. Ooh, actually, please don't move. Okay, so his field thankfully won't move throughout this video or throughout this stream, yada yada yada. But his Discord video was small on the bottom, so I had to zoom it in. So that's why his side of the field is pixelated. But luckily, we have commentary, so we can talk about what's happening. And I was present for this game whenever it ever happened, so I know exactly what perspired. So without further ado, because this is like a long game, there was a lot of thinking, a lot of questioning, and all that. Let's go straight into it, and I will be skipping a decent amount. Our boy was on Zorga Nadir, so set to legal, playing against Youthberg Full Blast. So, I know, sorry, flipping up the row starter, kind of like every Stockade player. You have no idea what I'm playing until I tell you what I'm playing. But Bastion in this case went first, which is good for Bastion because they get to do all of their shenanigans even though your opponent is a grade 2. However, after watching the game, I feel like we got lucky. So Toku's good move here, or good start, was the fact that he had a decent amount of orders in hand. So being able to discard an order in the early game just proved itself very useful. Now, I haven't seen what happened. I came into turn 3 when Youthberg had its turn, and Toku was on, at grade 2. And I think I know what happened because I came in and was like, this is weird. Toku passed his turn here because he knows going second, Youthberg Full Blast needs a CB to do its thing. So if we don't give him CB, it can't do its thing. So Youthberg is going to do Youthberg things here. Ride the ride line. Look at top 3. Excuse me. Call 1. If I say Bastion at any point, that's just me being an idiot and being tired. This is Youthberg versus Zorga. So like I said, if I say Bastion at any point, I'm just an idiot. So looking at top 3, finding one unit. The unit on plays, grabs a revolt form from deck, puts it into hand, and it puts a card from hand into soul, which is basically the same revolt form. And if I'm not mistaken, Gust was the card that went into the soul for that effect. So Gust is already in there. They're missing Zest and they're missing Tempest for the full blast turn. Skipping a little bit ahead, Vanguard swing, leaving to keep the grade 1 in the back, which I guess was a good move. And Toku here guarding that attack because, you know, if you just drop a 15k shield, doesn't matter what they flip, unless it's an OT, you're just going to guard an attack because that's only a 10k. I feel like putting the grade 1 behind the Vanguard in this case would have been better if you're not going to actually use it as an attacker. But you know what, we'll take, I won't say misplays, we'll take those choices. Because Toku here discards Karma, get that boy ready. Use the new Rylan effect of Nadir, looks at top 7 for one card set order. One card to one, I believe it's one order to put the hand and one card and one unit to put the drop. So we find the order that lets us draw a card? That's the one that lets us draw a card, right? Yeah. Yeah. It lets you draw a card and look at the top card. Or it said look at the top card and then draw. I do not remember. But, draw mill. Thank you. I like this play, putting the PG into drop, because Shadow Cloak exists in the deck. If you play a Shadow Cloak, if you Alchemy Magic, you can call that PG to board and then bounce it back to hand. Zorga has such a great way of toolboxing whatever it needs into its own hand. So, huzzah, I really like that play. So, I'm going to skip that. Calling Shadow Cloak, as mentioned. Getting it ready for next turn. As well as just getting, you know, more deck compression as well as order setup and drop. The locals just were playing set 2. Rotovisor did not want to play. Yeah, for grade 3. Yeah, no. Rotovisor is not a good spot. Rotovisor is actually a really bad deck right now. It is not worth playing until it gets some good support. Play another Shadow Cloak here to put another order into drop just to start getting set up. And I really like that order. It's a Counterblast 4 and you reduce the cost CB1 for every card in bind. So in the Nadir, later in the game, you basically can draw 2 for free if you have enough cards in bind zone. And with the way Zorga Nadir right now is playing, you do not use CB for almost anything. So you can just go ham on that CB for cards like that. I know we have it built CC with, yeah. So I think Toku here does the same thing he did turn 1, just pass turn, because, again, Full Blast, if you see the right pieces, is not hard to go into Full Blast to get all the necessary revolt forms into Soul. There's already a Gust. Excuse me. There's already Gust in Soul. There's probably 2 more ways to put other cards necessary in Soul, so it's easy to get to Full Blast. And you really don't want to let your opponent go into Full Blast where you're grade 2. So here, Aster has a lot of thinking to do. What the discard, what the play is. No CB to use. Yes, the play here is going into Tempest, and spoiler alert, that's actually what's gonna happen. But still, forcing them to waste a turn on Tempest. Tempest is a lot more manageable than Full Blast. Let's say it like that. Tempest is a lot more manageable than Full Blast. Yes, this is Zorga Nadir. And the way this game shaped up to go, it was very interesting. So, using Vanguard's ability, discarding a card, looking at the top 3, choosing one, calling it to rigor, or adding it to hand. Oh my god! Could I stop yawning for just 5 fucking seconds? Oh. If I'm not mistaken here, opting to find that a grade 1 that lets them look at deck. Oh no, that was a kitty. I think that was a kitty. Yeah, that was a kitty. Removing 2 of the ride line, looking at top 5, and calling a card because it's still main phase. They calls that a stand and not rest. So kitty coming in here for just a little bit more deck fitting, plussing to board, yada yada yada. Cat or kitty is so good. Like, it's just so good. That's right. Kitty finds the grade 1. The grade 1 on place finds a revolt form, puts it in hand, and then you choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the play where Aster goes for the Tempest. Yes, cats and dogs and cat are just carrying the whole nation right now. So if I remember correctly, Aster goes for Tempest here and adds it a hand. And then this next move is either because what their hand was or is a very risky play. Now, usually you shuffle the deck and let your opponent cut. Aster's letting the opponent know that, hey, I'm going to go back into my deck. That means they have another way to search or do something. Oh, yeah, I forget. This is explaining Tempest ability time. Anyway, this was the move that, I won't say shocked me, it was like, huh. Because when you put a revolt form for the effect into hand, you have to choose a card from your hand and put it into soul. And they put a crit trigger. So that's less shield for later. Sometimes you just got to make those sacrifices depending on what your hand has. Calling the Grade 2, Soul Blasting 1. In this case, I believe they Soul Blasted the Gust. No, they Soul Blasted the Ride Line because they still had some of it. So they Soul Blast the Ride Line and they find Zest. So now there's a Gust in the Soul, there's a Zest in the Soul, and there's going to be a Tempest for the turn. So Full Blast is going to happen on turn 4 now since Toku denied CB. Which, again, I honestly got to say was a good move. I need to remember that playing against against Youth next time. Cutting the decks and then proceeding into swinging with the Vanguard. This was the funny part. He'll trigger, I believe, into OT. So being able to grab something from deck, from drop zone back into hand, drawing a card, and then giving you the Vanguard, a critical, and then one of the units 100 million. You'd think that this was, not a good position to be in. You know, taking 2 damage, still a revolve from coming. Like, ooh, this could be trouble. Again, leading the witness a little bit. So, power distributions happen, OT distributions happen, 2 damage happened, and then Toku, still at 0, thankfully, takes 2 damage here. First one was a Karma, second one was a Headhunter. Not the ideal situation, but it is what it is. Aster here then proceeds into riding Tempest. Again, no CB, so Tempest is the best move. Do not remember... Oh yeah, there was no Sequana on board, so no dry checks for Tempest. So this was just a vanilla swinger that revealed top 2 cards. I forgot. Wait, what was the reveal? Hold up. So ride Tempest. Wait, does Tempest need? No, Tempest does not need a CB for his thing. He just gives 5k to the front, and then you reveal top 2 cards and add them to hand. Right? Did we miss that? Where is the top 2 reveal? Well, doesn't matter. That's what I was talking about. Toku was then here, hits his defensive OT, making one of the attackers irrelevant, and making the other one just, you know, basically null the OT, null the OT. So it's a lot easier to guard. If you choose to guard. But Toku here does not choose it. I do like the decision. I guess the hand was not quite ready for guarding something like that. Did we miss the Am I misremembering Tempest's ability? Don't you ride, look at top 2, add 2 to hand, and then bot deck depending on the grade? Did we just not do that effect? Is it grade 2 restrict? I'm blanking. I could have sworn Tempest did that. Oh well. We'll take it what we get. So, what's going on now? Toku is debating on what to do, what cards to discard. He goes for discarding a order because, but then goes to add back to hand Ye Wandering Souls. So this is going to be a turn where Toku not only attempts to push with decent amount of crits, but also plus hand size because I love the move he does. So there's a reason Toku took 3 damage here, and we'll see you here in a bit. So there's Shadow Cloaks on board ready to go, and here we go. Binding that order that lets you draw 2 cards for 4 CB and reduce the cost for yada yada yada. Oh yeah, Tempest is the CB for draw 2. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. So Tempest is just a good one to go into for the free power, basically then. But as I was saying, Toku using Zorganadir here, Energy Blasting 2, Binding the Order, calling 2 cards, both of them getting 5k, and then proceeding to Alchemagic. So now you have a 10k booster trigger and a 13k booster grade 1 in the back row. Alchemagic and Reordering Souls. CB3, discard an order from hand to give your Vanguard triple drive as well as draw 2 cards. I feel like that's a good trade. Now, I don't remember. Yeah, so here he uses one Shadow Cloak, the one in the front row, to gain 5k and bounce the other Shadow Cloak into hand to have it for later. Because now you can call that Shadow Cloak, deck fin another order, and just do good stuff. The only thing, so I don't know if this is deck list, or if this is player preference or accessibility. I don't think Toku's running any Prison Dragons, because throughout this game, we're not going to see any Prison Dragons hit damage, drop, hand, anything. I think it's just Karma. And the beginning of battle phase here, that exactly is what happens. One of the Karmas, because there is only one right now, in drop, comes to board, gains a crit, and he will use Energy Blast 4 to bind another order to give that Karma an extra 10k power, making that column overall just 33 right now. So we have a 33 column, a 13k Vanguard with triple drive, and a 25k column. So swing Vanguard first with triple drive, threaten a little bit of those, crits, damage. Your opponent is at 0. You didn't let them plus with Tempest. You didn't let them plus with Full Blast. So here they're feeling it. Get a Persona right, get a critical, make that Karma even bigger. So that's a 43k column now. And here's the best part. Another critical. So 3 damage. And deciding where to put power. And he ultimately decides to put the power onto the dog, making that column a 35. Therefore, if your opponent hits triggers, which in this case, first crit trigger plus 10k power. Second check was another crit trigger plus another 10k power, making that Vanguard already 33, which now is a good move to, and then a Zest. So it was a good move to distribute the power. I don't know what that is, but okay. It was a good move to distribute the power because now both figures can hit. Granted, they don't hit for hard. It's basically like a 1-card guard now for both. But the point is they still hit, and the point is that cards still go out of hand. Not many, but enough. So first swinging with the 1 damage. That way if they do hit another defensive, at least Karma can still potentially hit. If you swing with Karma first with 2 damage, if for some reason they decided to take it, defense triggers could just stop the other attack. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. 5k guard's enough. Intercept with that grade 2 is enough. I could make you a mod. I could very much make you a mod, Echo. But I don't want to make terrible life choices. I don't want to regret it later. Right. Like mentioned, because the Vanguard now is 33 and Karma is a 43k column, 15k guard is more than enough to guard it. So now it comes the fun part. Now Youthberg has access to CB, has all the necessary pieces in Soul. We can assume that Full Blast is in hand, but at least Toku managed to grind up to 10 cards in hand and stay at 3 damage. So overall, this is not a bad position to be in. No Persona Ride, so they have to go into Energy Blast 7 and draw a card to see if they can find any good pieces. I believe another grade 1 gets ditched here for looking top 3. See if there's anything to add to hand, anything to call the board, and then that grade 1 will, activate its ability, find whatever you need, yada, yada, yada. A lot of Youthberg players, okay, so fine indicating not using the ability, because, you can't. You didn't Persona Ride your Vanguard, it's still your Vanguard, you can't really remove it. But a lot of Youthberg players here just start deck thinning by just Soul Blasting the same Revolve forms, or just adding. This is basically just deck thinning. When you're using the cards to find Revolve forms in deck and put them into Soul, you're at that point literally just deck thinning. You're going, take this away, put this in. Take this away, put this in. Deck fin, compress, compress, compress. For example, calling the grade 2 now, soul blasting a gust, finding a gust, putting it into hand, and then putting that gust from hand into soul. You still have your gust there. You've basically just deck finned one card out of hand. And what's going to happen here is, because of the earlier play, Aster's going to soul blast. Let me see if I can skip to that. So after deck cut, Aster's going to soul blast that crit trigger they put into soul to draw a card with the grade 2. So overall, just nice plussing back. So for overall the board setup, you have an 18k column that's going to turn into 23. Vanguard currently is swinging for only 21. And then there's a double grade 1, so 16k column. But remember, whenever full blast hits the board, that's going to turn into 15k to the front. It's basically like Jujul. Right now showing that they have, I believe it was 5 cards in hand. Go to 7, go to 8. Sorry, I think it was 6 cards in hand. This is, I wouldn't say the smartest move, but we'll take luck here. Because Toku right now is asking for amount of crits. 4 crits are out of deck. And I believe in this point, 4 crits were out of deck and 24 cards were in deck. So there was a 1 in 6 chance that every drive check will reveal a critical trigger. So Toku's doing the math here, trying to debate the statistics, trying to debate if it's worth it, and ultimately he does take the damage. It takes the Vanguard, no guards it. The drive checks were a full blast, as well. Oh, sorry, Persona Ride and a full blast. So 2 dead cards. Granted, one of the dead cards is going to hit the Vanguard circle here, but the best outcome here was this heal trigger. Not only did Toku heal, so not get another karma into drop, but also just stay 3 damage and eat a Vanguard swing. This was the best outcome he could have asked for. The only comment I'd give Toku here is intercept with that karma. If you're going to take the attack, intercept with that karma nonetheless. Hell, you could have even intercepted with both and made it 1 to pass. If it hit, it hit. If it didn't hit, cool. You've not let, what basically what's going to happen now is full blast hits, all of its effect activate, that karma is going bye-bye. So if he did not hit the heal, at this point, he would have had 0 karmas in drop. So all your double critical stuff just gets turned off. By intercepting, hell, with just karma, or if you want to intercept with both and make it 1 to pass, you guarantee yourself that karma into drop so that your next turn you have at least 1. And then like the heal would have still hit, and then you would have had 2, and then both your columns would have been double critical. So that's probably my best comment here. Still no witch on Youthberg's side, which means this is just a full blast swinging for 1 double critical, 1 drive check. And Toku here goes, okay, cool. It's a 28k. Here's a 20k shield, put him into 43 because I had that heal. That's a no pass because your OT is already out. This column, I believe, because I don't think the drive check actually showed. The drive check showed a grade 2. So this column was a 16 boost with 15k, so that's 31. Necessary is only 10k shields necessary, but a lot of decks don't have access to 10k shield unless they want to waste 2 cards out of hand with 2 5ks. So if I remember correctly, here Toku just used a crit trigger, saw value in Dog being on board, potentially using it for the Soul Blast Bounce effect. And then the last column we talked about is 23 boosted by 15 is 38, which dictates another 15k shield, but this time he does use the intercept for a 20k, put into 43, guarding the attack, staying at 3 damage. So Toku survived a full blast turn, mind you, without Persona Ride, and didn't take any damage. So that heal trigger came in clutch. So now we know Toku has a Persona Ride in hand because we saw a drive check with 2 crits the previous turn. So that's going to hit board here in a sec. Oh, it did hit board. So Persona Ride's active. There's 2 orders currently in bind zone, which means if you use Nadir's effect, that's going to be 3, which means both cards that get called are going to gain 15k power. Now Toku calls here a dog, searches the deck for another order to put into drop, thinking, because choices do matter, and opts for the order that lets you bind it when it's played, and add 2 more orders from drop into hand. What Toku was thinking this moment, because of how the game progressed, is I'm pretty sure he was running out of orders in hand and guaranteeing himself a next turn. Therefore, not only being able to alchemagic, but also being able to grab orders, put them into hand, have potential ditch fodders for PGs, as well as having orders in hand ready to alchemagic for next turn. Because that's one of Zorga's biggest weakness. If you can find a way to put the orders back into your hand to use for alchemagic, you're not doing anything with Zorga. At most, you're calling 2 units and giving them power depending on the amount of cards in bind zone. So, now we see here, Energy Blast 2, choose a card, bind it, choosing the card he found in deck with the Shadow Cloak on board right now. And looking at his soul, having 2 cards in soul, he knows he needs to save minimum 1 for a divine skill, and the other one can be a Shadow Cloak, and opts to go for the crit trigger instead of that PG he was eyeing. Because the PG, if it hit board right now, would have probably been used with Shadow Cloak to bounce in the hand, yada yada yada. But this way, that grade 1 is a 23k booster, and that crit trigger is a 19k booster. We know that he's got 1 karma in drop ready to go, which means he just needs 1 more card onto the board in some way, shape, or form to have a good column, to have a good attacker. So now we're deciding what to alchemagic with, and we're going Mythiarch Habitat with the order we just put in. So it's Counterblast 1 to activate it. Mythiarch will get bound, but not yet. First, we'll look at top 7 for a card equal to less than Vanguard's grade to call it to the board. In this case, we went for Karma, because, hey, if Karma is in circulation, that means next turn it's going to come back with a crit. This one, unfortunately, will not be coming back with a crit. So it's just the Karma on board, not using its Energy Blast effect for obvious reasons, binding Mythiarch because the other order, and then choosing 2 orders from drop to add them back into hand. Going for the 5k to the front call unit for a CB, as well as another Mythiarch Habitat. So, that happened. I don't know about this play. I'll be completely honest. I don't know about this play. Here he used Shadow Cloak to bounce that Karma back into hand. I guess? I honestly don't see the point, because whatever you call after it, it's got to serve more of a purpose, and here he just moves a grade 1 forward. I feel like that Karma would have served a better purpose staying on board, because then you can use it as an interceptor, you can put it into drop that way. You can still have a decent power column, because now that is only a 33 because of Persona Ride. It could have been a 43k column. Calling during battle phase the Karma that is in drop, using Energy Blast 4, binding into things to give that Karma 25k power. So now that Karma is 25, 35 because of Persona Ride, being boosted by a 19k trigger. So it goes all the way to from 35 to 54. That is a 54 double critical Karma. And of course, honestly, with your opponent being at 3 damage, this was probably the best time to use it. We're going to see Toku here swing with that 54 double critical Karma. I'm pretty sure it's 54. Let me do the math one more time. Karma's a 10k, Persona Ride makes it 20. The 25 makes it a 45, sorry. So the 25, the Karma gains from its own ability, makes it a 45. And then you have a 19k booster, so you can count that as a 20k booster. Puts the 45 to 65 minus 1, 64. 64 double critical Karma. And you know, whenever a Karma swings first, it will be a Divine Skill activation. So here, Aster got lucky. He took the first Karma knowing full well what's going on, and he did hit a heal trigger. So the 10k power extra to the Vanguard helped, and not taking 2 damage also helped. But now Karma has to be guarded on the next swing, and if Zorga with Twin Drive right now does not hit any triggers, then one of the other attacks can also be taken. So swinging for Zorga now, it's only at 23k, activating Divine Skill and restaining that 64k Karma. So 23 versus 23, 15k shield makes it to the pass, 25k shield makes it no pass. Yes, this is Zorga versus Youth. I'm going to reiterate. Apologies for the Youth field being so blurry. The opponent, Aster, was recording the field or recording the game, and they had Toku's field blown up for themselves to play against, which means their field was only a small preview window on the bottom, if for people that know how Discord looks. So this is the best resolution we have, and we're gonna get. So Divine Skill's been active. Vanguard's currently swinging for 23 twin drive. The opponent did hit a heal, which means it's also 23. 15k shield makes it 2 to pass. 5k shield makes it 1 to pass. 25 makes it no pass because both players have hit their OTs in one way, shape, or form. So I can jump to this and see. Let's see. So dropping down a trigger for 2 to pass, I believe. Front trigger makes the decision super easy, which means just one more trigger is going to pass it. Unfortunately, a karma gets hit, which is really good because now there's 3 karmas in circulation, 1 on field, 2 in hand. So as long as Toku can discard that karma somehow, he's ready to go for next turn. Smart play, immediately swinging with the 64 double critical karma right away. Here was the biggest kicker. During this turn, I believe Toku was asking Aster how many PGs are in public zones, and it was 0. So you could always assume it's like, okay, he's got some PGs in hand. But no, whenever this 64k karma swung, Aster dropped first 30k shield, making his Vanguard 53, another 20k shield, making it 73, because the karma is a 64 because of the front trigger, I apologize. So 73, and then an intercept for 78. So had to waste 4 cards, 3 from hand, 1 on board, to guard that karma, meaning they don't have any PGs left in hand. Taking the 43k grade 1, karma dies, crit trigger went to soul for the soul charge. Now Aster's at 5 damage. Everything's looking up. Toku just needs to survive another full blast turn because more than likely it's coming. Youthberg has a way to just recover and always do what it wants to do. In this case, is full blast. Now we know Aster has a persona ready to go from the drive check from the previous turn. We see that hit, draw a card, gain energy, all the shindig. And now they start setting up their board for a proper full blast turn, because at this point we've not seen Sequana hit board once. The grade 2 gets called. Not going to search the deck. The only thing that's going to happen is Soul Blast a full blast to activate the ability. Don't choose drop, not put anything in the soul, and then Soul Blast the original Ride Line Youth in order to draw a card. Therefore, you just deck fin. You don't deck fin anything, but you just Soul Blast to draw. On play Soul Blast draw is basically what happened there. Calling Sequana behind the Vanguard, and then replacing the grade 2 with the grade 2 that lets you counter charge for Energy Blast 3 and gain 5k to Vanguard in itself. While I agree with this play for a power push, this also meant that 2 cards replace 2 cards on board, so you just overall minus 2 cards in your economy. Which, you know, as an opponent, please do. So, Youthberg swinging first. Asking again for public zones, how many crits. At this point, there were 6 critical triggers out of deck, 12 cards in deck. So there was 2 in 14. Sorry, there's 14 cards in deck. So there's 2 in 14. So there was a 1 in 7 chance that a crit trigger would be hit on drive checks. This was a 33 Youthberg. And after much deliberating, Toku also decided here, yeah, I'm just going to no guard. First check was one of the grade 2s that we saw on the board. Second check was another grade 2. And Headhunter was the damage. So best case scenario, no triggers, 2 5Ks in hand, and then full blast hits. So Sequana, of course, has to happen first in order to increase the drive so that full blast, whenever it gains the drive, becomes twin drive and not just one drive. Very important sequencing things. Aster started the turn with started his battle phase with 2 cards in hand, if I remember correctly. We saw drive checked 2 5Ks, and now full blast will have twin drive, which means after this drive check, we'll exactly know what all is in Aster's hand. There's going to be only 6 cards, and 4 of them will be known. Full Blast with a Persona Ride, however, is a 38k, and then activating the Energy Blast, 3 countercharge, 5k to Vanguard in itself. Full Blast just turned into a 43k twin drive double critical unit. And Toku had a PG ready to go, discarding the Karma, getting the drop zone set up. First check was a crit, which means now Toku has to guard the one attack that will begin a crit. And the second check was a front trigger, making everything a little bit bigger, but that's good because that means one of those attacks is still 1 damage. Toku is at 4. He can take the 1 and guard the double critical and survive the turn. So if I remember my maths correctly here, that grade 2 gained 5k from its own ability, gained the trigger power, became 25. There's a Persona Ride making it 35. There's a 15k from Full Blast, making it 50 and boosted by 8k. So that's a 58 double critical swinging. Luckily, Toku apparently was ready. One of the reasons he did not bounce that PG to hand the previous turn is apparently because he had 2 PGs ready to go. Because after this 58k double critical swings, we see another PG drop on Toku's side. And then this time discarding a Mythiarch Habitat to have another. I'm pretty sure he's run out of orders in drop zone at this point. So the only thing that left to do is swing with a 1 damage, and this is very obvious. Yeah, no guard take. Give me the 2 CB, and let me not waste any cards in hand. Yada, yada, yada. But I believe, yeah, took the damage, and it was another Mythiarch Habitat, which tells me that this build runs 3. This build of Zorganidir runs 3 Mythiarch Habitats. So, going into Toku's turn, yet another Persona Ride, which is going to matter with another 10k buff to the board. There's currently 5 orders in Order Zone, which means if you use Zorganidir's ability, you will bind another order, making it 6, making whatever 2 units you call gain 30k extra power. That's a lot of power. Zorganidir is one of those decks that if it can still do its effects properly, the longer the game goes, the bigger the columns are going to get. So, Toku here seeing everything to his availability. He knows he has 2 Karmas and drop, calling the hand hunter to make some costs a little bit easier, as well as just being a good 13k booster. Using Zorganidir's ability here, binding that Mythiarch Habitat, and now calling 2 cards. We see the grade 1 drop and we see a PG drop. I guess that's the best, options in drop. That Ride Line grade 1 has been getting called back multiple times. But that now is a 38k booster, and that PG is a 36k booster. Going into the order, into Alchemagic, and let's see here, if I remember correctly, we are Alchemagicking into Ye Wandering Souls. So the CB cost is free because of Headhunter. So you just call something random. In this case, Shadowclick gets called. And then you discard an order from hand in order to give the Vanguard an extra drive check. So now the Vanguard's triple drive. There's 15k to the front row because of Persona Ride as well as the order. Both the grade 1s in the back row and not behind the Vanguard have 30k power. So there's just a shit ton of power on the board right now. Divine Skull has already been used, but doesn't matter. The opponent is at 5, which means swinging a Vanguard, doing triple drive, seeing what happens is Toku's best outcome here. Now, if you do the math, Zora is terrifying when it goes off. It very much is. So if you do the quick math here, both Karmas are only 10Ks. They're getting boosted by 15 to the front from Persona Ride in the order, so that makes them 25. Then they're getting boosted by something getting 30k because of Zorga's ability, making them 55. And then one of them has a card behind itself, making it 58. I'm missing 5k power somewhere. I'm pretty sure we got to 63. Wait a minute. Karma's 10, Persona Ride 20, Order Effect 25, 30k from the boost is 55. 55, and then 8k booster 63. So one of the columns is 63, the other column is 61. And right now Zorganidir is swinging for 28 33, 41 triple drive. Even the Vanguard is dangerous. 41 triple drive. Because 26, 36, yeah, 41. And Aster here makes the only logical choice. Double intercept for 23. And then that's, I guess, a front trigger? Because that shouldn't be enough to pass. But it's fine because 2 triggers make it to where, okay, yeah, cool. No matter what happened, there's a crit, there's a heal, there's power. And if I remember correctly what Aster said here, they do not have any more heals left in deck. So, done deal, done game. Huzzah, sign it off. Alrighty, so that was that. And now we're going to jump into the Bellfizer game because he actually is starting to set up and potentially play. Or maybe they've already started. Who the fuck knows? We'll find out here in a sec.
This all fast.
And do you know what's going to happen? All the other grade 3 Makani's are going to be at the bottom of the fucking deck now.
Yeah,
I think they've already started.
This is casual games, by the way.
Oh, this is casual games. Never mind. They have not started yet.
So, Ride, Soul Charge 3. Yep, that's what I fucking thought.
Let's boot up these casual games so you guys can see what's going on. And I can set up the board.
It's really worth calling anything to rear. Sure, we'll call the Tizcar to rear. And then activate Persona Ride. Gain 3 energy. We will then use Tizcar skill to use 3 energy. Soul Charge 1, gain 5k and boost.
Was that the Bifron, the new one?
No, it's Tizcar. Oh, sorry, I Soul Charged Bifrons, yeah, just now.
Yeah, the new one. Okay.
Oh, we have to do this so scuffed. Right, well, I guess we'll risk it for the first. Money Governs Chaos.
Are you at 13 or no?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're
I did it last then.
Yeah.
Right,
You did
is
the
it in
Soul
the
Charge
top
3 to dig
5?
through
1,
mechanics.
2, 3, 4. Wow, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 6, 7.
So,
7 deck, okay.
right now, apparently we're looking at a fun game between fun game.
I haven't seen the video yet. I'll let you know when it changes.
Waiting for Remain. I'm actually going to jump to the table where Remain's sitting at.
Okay, cool. Because I was gonna show it to him anyway, yeah.
Boop. So right now we're in the table where Remain. Now there we go. Remain starting to get set up. Shuffle his deck. I know it looks scuffed, but we're waiting for the opponent to show up. So I have no idea what he's playing. Actually, I do know what he's playing. I'm an idiot. He did tell me. Ah, there we go. So there's the opponent. And now I go back into editing mode and making sure the field looks right.
Okay. I was curious. I was like, man, I can't hear anything. Maybe my microphone's messed up. And I'm like, oh, no, I just got to turn up the volume on my computer.
Oh, okay. No problem.
There we go. A little bit of change of perspective to
How's your day going?
Yeah, very
see
good.
the board more.
It's,
And
it's
then
almost midnight here, so...
Oh, yikes. Okay. We'll get this done quick for you then. You just flip the OT right away.
Okay,
You end it quick.
please flip the OT and end it
You
quick.
get some sleep.
That's how you
No,
lost for
we're-
every round, or was just a one-time thing?
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna make
So where you
myself.
at?
I'm gonna make myself
Prince.
potentially known here in a bit because I want to go very funny. I'm gonna also turn them down now because they're just shuffling, deciding. So we got on our side,
But yeah.
we got
I appreciate you being able to accommodate the time.
Remain
Okay. Is my stream
playing against Jordan. Huzzah! So I can turn this on. Ta-da!
Gotcha.
So
No, that's okay. I think I could see most of your.
the opponents are currently just shuffling the deck, getting everything ready, making sure that everybody can see everything.
Deck and energy. So.
I can probably make Romain's field a little bit less because I think he's not centered. That's about center, right? Yeah, that's good enough. That should be good. That little gap is bothering me, but we can fix that easy. There we go. All right. So we know Romain's playing. He's playing Kyrie. So it's going to be very fun. Kyrie, honestly, do not sleep on the deck, especially with some of the divine support it got. It's actually a really, really strong deck, and if he's running the cards that I think he's running, it can actually do a lot of harm. So we'll see. The biggest thing that we're going to be doing here, I heard Mikani. Mikani was a other game that we jumped into real quick, waiting, because I thought that was where Romain was. But we do not know. We can kind of assume from the sleeves as well as, the sleeves of the opponent's deck that it might be Zorganidir. Or a type of Stoichea deck. Romain's not hiding anything with the Kyrie sleeves on both Fried deck and main deck. And I approve.
Can you see?
Alright.
Is my deck okay there?
Alright. So, big deciding factor here, who goes first. Kyrie, being a grade 4 deck, definitely wants to go first. And, ooh. Okay, reroll. Both of them rolled 8. Romain rolled another 8. Snake Eyes? Snake Eyes. Going second. So that means that there's a potential G-Zone question that we missed. Because the only time a grade 4 deck would want to go second is fighting as something that has a G-Zone. So this could be Shiranui, this could be Lured, or we could be just, being gassed. Alright, so 3 back. I did not pay attention how many remain pit back. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. It is time to see how this game goes. I'm actually a little bit excited. As mentioned before, we already have the W for the week, so this game is and isn't important. It's not important for this specific week. Whatever the outcome of this game is not going to change our team winning against Crow's team. The only thing that's important about this is Romain's personal score, if he wants to keep it high, as well as the tiebreakers down the road. The more wins we have, any tiebreakers that might happen down the road are going to matter.
2, 3, 1.
I believe if Romain wins this, and the opposing team that we're currently tied for first, potentially tied for first, loses their last game, it's Mushi King.
Alright, I'll draw.
Oh, no. Romain, you have made a terrible mistake letting them go first.
I'll pitch a draw trigger.
I think.
And then
I don't think you want Mushi King to go first.
Yeah, I know the card already. Go ahead.
Gotcha.
Good news here. Both players, or more specifically, Romain exactly knows what Mushi King does, so that we don't have to waste time explaining effects. So he can just go straight into find the necessary stuff. And Mushi King, ride grade 1, get the crest. Crest gets 3 set orders, 1 of each grade or each rock, paper, scissors. And the only ones you play is the grade 3 rock, the grade 2 paper, and the grade 1 scissor. That is the only combination of good Mushi King right now. You can play the other ones, but they're not as good.
1, 2, 1.
This is going to be very interesting to see, because Mushi King technically got upgrades with a bigger deck size that can do more. With some of the divine stuff that can use energy.
So I'm gonna add grade 1 beetle.
That's a good one.
Ooh.
That's the best one.
Yeah, 20 for the attacker.
Yeah, they've added the grade 1 that's a 23k attacker in the early game on its own. So this is going to be very interesting. I think Romain's already regretting choosing to go second.
3 to 1.
I will say though, by going second, you do have more chances to gain energy. Get draw, because not only right here, this exact moment, draw for going second, you're gonna drive check, so that's gonna be a plus. But now you've also discarded the energy cycler that you can use because you went second and gained 2 energy. So replacing that card in hand, never minusing, drawing a card for going second, and drive checking now, you should be at okay OT. So not only 2 damage, but also put that cycler back into hand. So next turn ditches is also just 3 pluses. And also putting opponent to 2 damage. Like, this is just... Jordan right now is mentioning how he's glad he didn't want the pass, because that would have been just a full-on minus in hand.
I have to guard a bit more now, so I got to be a little more careful about how I want to do this.
This is probably one of the best outcomes we can ask for my team. You hate to see it, because you want to have fair games, tactical games, whoever's smarter, whoever plays better wins. The OT kind of eliminates that sometimes. But when you're competing and you see the OT drop on your side of the team, you're like, yes, that happened. We are happy for it. We're going to take it.
Basically your own right skill.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never a reason for Mushi King not to use the ability. Soul Blast 1, look at top 5, had a card, because they can literally add anything in their deck. The only time they can whiff is look at top 5 and see nothing but triggers.
It's got the stupid barcode on the side.
So right now we're going to see Mushi King's full strong turn. We're going to see that grade 1 drop on the board. It's going to be a 23k. And if Jordan was lucky or has seen the piece, we're going to see some mushrooms hit the board, soul charge, as well as just make a good call. There we go, yeah. Where they get called is going to be important. That is scary. The fact that they didn't get called in the same column is actually fucking scary. We see the grade 2, we see the grade 1. So that grade 1 is a 23k boosted by 5. That's a 28 column. And then that grade 2 will be gaining 10k power, which means that's a 25k column. So this is the smallest thing. This is a 10k. Best chance to guard. Best option to guard here. Because unfortunately 28... That's a fucking 28 on turn 2. That's a sad damage. You really want that card. But this is another 25, and you just got to take it.
Alright, and that's the end of the turn.
You don't want to take him. Against Mushi King, you actually do want to try to stay low damage. But hey, look. Guess who's getting ditched again? I wonder why. Okay, so not using Willis' skill means that we saw the jewel in hand. So it goes to Joel, you draw a card, you give the Vanguard 5k, and then you draw another card because the Velista right line carry is just good. All the draws. All the fucking draws. That's good. That's just good early game. That's really good. Strega with Velista right line and Kyrie, honestly, just good. I love what Romain's doing right here. He's capitalizing because Mushi King does plus with the order, but it also, needs to make a board. He wasted 3 cards in hand to make a board, which means now he has only 5 cards in hand. Romain can use this to his advantage and just push. It doesn't matter if they're poked. They don't have to be 28 and 25 like Mushi King swinging. They just need to start hitting and pinging and taking resources out of hand or potentially putting them at higher damage. That's one of the things about rush decks. If the opponent can rush you back, it is very dangerous. I would have preferred... I don't know. It's weird. If you swing with a grade 2 first, they can just intercept for free. If you do this, you can potentially hope for a trigger. But if they hit a defensive trigger, that grade 2 is just dead and it's going to swing into the interceptor anyway. I want to see what the drive checks are. I think swinging a Vanguard here is probably the right choice, but depending on the drive checks, you want to swing into the grade 1.
No, it's okay. It's
I think they're already swinging. I think he's already swinging into the grade 1, which is honestly what I was gonna say is the other option. That's good. That's a really good card. I think you still swing with Strega into. It's a easy intercept, but they might want to keep that card on board. And apparently, no, they just take it.
Trigger out of the Vanguard.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yukai just proven itself still in every lyrical deck she exists in.
And draw.
So they didn't take any cards out of hand, which means they now have 6 cards in hand, but they did go into 3 damage. Kyrie is at 2, which is kill range for Mushi King if triggers fall the right way. However, them ditching the set order from hand is good news. Because that means there is only 2 more of the set order in the deck or in circulation. They only need to really use 1 right now, but that we're talking about later game. We're talking about the turn after that, and then maybe the turn after that. So thinking on the top 5, what's going to be added to hand, going for a Persona Ride. Now Romain knows, oh shit, the turn after this one, if he's not dead, is going to be very dangerous. So, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
1, 2, 3.
7 cards in hand. We know 1 is a Persona Ride. Let's see what kind of board we make. Or they make, not we. We are not we. We are we. They are they. Calling back to grade 2 and pushing up the token unit means they did not see another of the grade 1 scissors.
On me.
Sorry, another one of those grade 1 fronts. Papers. So,
that.
you wandering here, though, is very dangerous because that is a triple driving now, and then restanding twin driving if they have the set order in hand. So this is just dangerous. This is a 23k attacker with triple drive. This, if triggers hit, this is just dangerous. Remain risking the biscuit here. No guarding. Yeah, there's a crit.
Power over this guy.
Making that token a little bit bigger. Heal trigger sucks even more because the opponent now goes back to 2 damage instead of 3.
And the third check is nothing.
Oof. Crit's gonna help. Defenses will help make that other column a little bit easier to handle.
Well, counterblast when he stands, but I'll discard machine gun punches.
Yep. So they had another machine gun, which means there's only 1 more in circulation for them right now. So it's a 23k with twin drive now against a 20k.
23, 2 crit at the Vanguard.
So a 15k shield will make it 2 to pass, which I think is Remain's best option right now, depending on what his hand is. So if he intercepts here, that's no pass. Or over trigger. Or trigger to pass, which is scary because 5 drive checks means bigger chances.
Yeah, so you're at. You're at 4, right?
Yeah, 4.
Okay. So
That heal sucks.
25.
So making that plain token a 35 because of 3 triggers.
Check is the over trigger.
Fuck.
So I'll give the 100 million there. take
Well.
it there, draw,
Played by the OT, died by the OT.
go, and then I'll draw and remove the OT.
I'll take 2.
So unless he hits the heal trigger, it's done deal here.
Second, if you like, GG's.
Bye bye.
Alright, good game.
OTs, man. OTs, throw skill out the window and just say, yeah, here's the win. It is what it is. Thankfully, like mentioned, we have won the week. This match did not deter that outcome, but it is also sad not even seeing Kyrie on the Vanguard at all. I think Romain is very much regretting his decision of going second now, but hey, it is what it is. Let me
So really quick.
Yeah, that was.
That's
yeah.
Ballesta, right?
let
Yeah.
me
that
tease
was
him a little
stinky.
bit.
I'm sorry. That wasn't good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay. It's okay.
What does Ballesta do?
I'm not playing waste. I'm playing Kyrie.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What is Kyrie? That's the faded one, right?
No. It's the grade 4 one that was released like in 2022, pretty much.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Well,
So, going second, huh?
yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, unfortunate, but it's okay.
It is what it is. With 5 drive checks, the chances of hitting OT are higher, but there is still a chance, and then that chance happened.
Yep. Yeah, that was unfortunate, but it's okay. I had one PG in hand, I could PG your Vanguard, but that doesn't mean anything if you have a OT, so...
Yeah.
So no pass.
Yeah, you would have been taking double critical from a plant token.
It's always great. What deck were you using again? I'm sorry.
Kyrie.
Awesome.
Alright, we're going to jump out of that call and jump over here. So yeah, that was that. You hate to see it. We never got to see Kyrie on the Vanguard grade 3 or grade 4 versions. It is what it is. Like mentioned, with Mushi King doing 5 drive checks, the chances of hitting OT are a lot higher, especially with the way Mushi King plays. You got to think, whenever you ride, you deck fin 3. Then you have an ability deck fins another one. Then on turn 2 you have another ability deck fins. And then on turn 3 you have another ability deck fins. By the time you hit your grade 3 turn, you've taken 6 cards out of your deck in Mushi King. So you've compressed a decent amount. We've seen that especially show with the drive checks being crit and heal. And then we definitely saw it with the second 2 drive checks being another heal in the OT. So the compression is there. Looking at the discards as well, we saw that not many triggers were discarded. Orders were discarded. This was discarded. That was discarded, but not many triggers. And then we also saw Chalice get discarded with Ye Wandering. We basically just saw a lot of non-triggers in game, but not out of deck. Triggers not out of deck. So it is what it is. I guess Remain did also OT turn 1. Which apparently did not matter. But it is what it is. We saw one week 4. We're going into week 5. Not going to at all tease them because I have full respect for Deck Flare. But we're fighting Deck Flare's team who currently in this tournament is still with 0 points. I've had a couple of unfortunate streak. But that can always change. We've currently crossed the halfway mark of the tournament with this game. With this week, we've technically crossed the halfway mark because there's 9 weeks. We just finished week 4. We're starting week 5. Therefore, we've basically crossed the halfway mark. So anything can still happen, which means we're not going to sleep on this. Deck Flare's team will be interesting to play. We got a couple of matchups that are already predetermined, one of which is another captain's fight. So I'm going to be facing Gwen, and we're going to see how that goes. I am still indecisive on what deck I will be taking. I don't know if I want to cook back and show him some spice, or if I want to take a good deck and, just guarantee myself a win. That decision will be made whenever we cross that bridge and we get there. But that's for the next week to look. So I'm going to end the stream here because like Romain, it is already tomorrow here. I need to get some sleep. So yeah, I'll see you guys whenever week 5 starts in whatever game that may be. But all that being said, bye.